Ouija board speaks. Okay, so we are watching scary TikToks and scary videos today. I'm not sure if I'm going to be um playing a horror game afterwards, but we might. Um, but I'm just gonna go ahead and switch around my sounds so it'll pick up. Hopefully all the sounds are okay. By itself after ritual. I don't know if that's too loud or too quiet, but yeah, so the first video we're starting off with is this, and I'm just gonna be picking the videos like throughout. So I'm not excited about this, but it's fine. Okay, let's go ahead and start. Okay, well let me fix the quality, because what the fuck is this quality? Okay. D. I don't know why the first fucking thing that came to my head was this dick. But anyways. D. I. Okay. Um. What if there's a fucking jump scare? Hold on. D.I. Oh, die. Alright then. I'm not gonna do that, but I appreciate it.
Go into your quiet room, draw the curtains, and turn off the lights. Sit in a circle with the other participants. Place the candle in the middle of the circle, light them, close your eyes, place your palm on the cover of the book, and say out loud, "Red book, may I enter your game?" So I have turned off all the lights. Unfortunately, very dark when I do. So I'm gonna see what happens when I change some of the lighting here. This isn't too bad. I can work with this. It sounds very negative to me, to be honest. If the answer is negative or nonsensical, contact cannot be made. Do not proceed. I guess technically we got one negative and one nonsensical, which are both bad. So let's try this again. Red book, may I enter your game?
No.
It doesn't mean I can't do it. That doesn't mean I can't do it. That doesn't mean I can't do it. Right there. So.
Okay. Oh. See, right then and there, that's when you should stop and get sage and fucking bless the fuck out of your house.
Okay, so I just double checked the footage on my camera, and I got that on camera. I got that covered. I haven't gone there yet. I literally took the footage to my computer, checked it to double check, and I grabbed the Ouija board just in case I wanted to use it.
But
I'm going to the kitchen right now.
people are so dumb. Okay. Is this the same fucking shit? The same one? I think it is. Maybe. Cause like, why are they all saying die? Or, I think they're all saying die. Okay. I feel like the music is low-key, like, not, like, alright, let's just, hang on, make it, like, quieter. You can still have it playing, but just have it quieter. Closet game ritual. Oh, what in the fuck?
Oh my god, it's so dark.
That scared the fuck out of me. So I already know. That's gonna be a fucking jump scare because it's fucking beginning, and it already scared the fuck out. It actually didn't scare me that bad. It honestly just like made my body jump, but like my heart was fine. Like my body reacted, but nothing else reacted. Okay. Bro, my dad's be doing this with my fucking reflection and shit.
That is so scary. That is not right. I don't like that. I don't like this at all. You guys watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? I feel like I have a. Okay, then, bro, this is fucked. This is too fucking scary. I can't do this anymore. I can't fucking do this.
Just do the challenge already.
How do I even know that's my shadow? Whose shadow is that? How do you fucking know if that's your shadow or not? It goes the other way. Okay, bro, why would you fucking say that? Why would you fucking say that? Are you serious right now? You see? Ow! I just stepped on something. Ow! The Brock Lesnar.
I don't know why it's so like zoomed in. Okay. I guess it's just gonna stay like that for a long period of time.
What the fuck was that? Are you fucked, bro? Okay.
What the fuck was that?
I'm watching the camera on my clock right now. What the fuck was that? I swear to God, there's bro. Ow! Fuck, son of a bitch. There, bro. This has not been 2 minutes yet, but I just heard fucking. I heard something. I swear to God, it. Oh fucking. Oh.
There's gonna be a jump scare. I already know it.
Okay, 2 minutes. Show me the light or leave me in darkness. Okay.
Bro, I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared. I'm literally fucking balled up in my blanket right now with like my blanket like half covering my face and shit because I'm terrified because I don't know if it's gonna be a jump scare. I'm not prepared. I'm really not prepared for this shit.
Show me the light or leave me in darkness. Show me the light or leave me in darkness.
Oh fucking hell, bro. See, this is how I know it's fucking bullshit.
Oh my god.
What the fuck? What was that?
Oh my god. You guys said.
Bro, what the hell? Bro, I regret this decision to make this fucking stream. I regret it so much. Bro, what the fuck?
Okay. The door was terrifying. But that's okay.
And this fucking full screen of my monitor is big as fuck, too.
Hello?
I'm not prepared. Bro, I'm so scared.
Hello? Okay. Whew. I left the door open. It's probably just the wind. Okay.
I'm watching it from like my tiny screen on the side because it's a lot easier to watch than on the big screen. Oh my goodness. I'm sweating. Bro. I Okay, that wasn't that bad. Alright. Okay, I'm guessing it's like a TV playing. And, you know, he didn't turn on the TV, I guess? Question mark? Oh, it's the radio. Okay. Okay. Bro, when your dogs, okay, this is why I think it's a great idea to have animals in your house, or like a cat or a dog or any type of like non-human things, because I feel like dogs and cats, our senses are like so good and they can catch shit like this. So like if I ever have like a with my dog now, he probably won't catch shit, but because he's a Shih Tzu, but my plan is like to always have like an animal, like a cat or a dog with me. And if I like move in somewhere and the dog will not, or if the dog or cat will not go in the apartment or house that I'm buying, I'm not buying it. Like if it starts growling, if the hair stand up, if all that shit happens, I'm not going in the house or apartment. I'm not living there. I'm ending the lease and I'm moving out. I'm not doing it. That's just my rule of thumb. See, that would not be my reaction. I would be out of that fucking building. Building? House. Okay, why is it still going? I'm scared. Why is it still going? So I'm guessing we're just waiting until they come back in the building? The building? Why do I keep saying building? The room? Or am I just not seeing anything?
See, and you think I'm crazy. First time I'm here by myself. There's a picture on the floor, and it just.
Yeah, that's me. I'm out. She remind me of a cat. What is that's supposed to be like wow. That's supposed to be like a shadow in the window? Oh, it is. Why the fucking dog's ear looking like a whole person walking across the screen? Oh shit. Don't. I'm out. That shit happens, I'm out. Ooh. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. See, it was all lighthearted as fuck, but then that happened. Okay, I'm scared. See, like, see, if you find anything in a fucking abandoned place and it's that, why are you picking it up? Where's the music at? Okay, I hear it. I was like, don't be quiet. All right, but if you pick up like any type of like thing, um, jewelry, doll, anything like that, you don't. First of all, don't touch it, because why the fuck are you touching it? And then don't take it with you. Like that's just common sense, bro. I'm scared. No, because I'm looking at. Oh shit. Okay, okay, okay. For real. I agree with that. Okay, that kind of looked like photoshopped a little bit, to be honest.
Now that it's
Somebody rubbing on the fucking tree? The fuck was that? Yep, someone's hand was rubbing on the tree. Alright.
I can't unsee it. So the other day, a Reddit user posted this photo to Reddit.
It's of his apartment at night. He had been complaining of hearing rustling noises in his apartment over the last couple nights. Many users thought they could kind of see
Oh,
something in this area of his kitchen, but I couldn't, so I looked at the brightened version. This is the photo brightened. And I know what you're gonna say, yes, it does look like Keanu Reeves, but look at how tall he is
I
compared to
don't
the
like that.
fridge. But it gets so much worse.
What do you mean you
This
prefer
is a
your
video
house?
he took of his apartment at night where you can see something happen to the light in the kitchen. But let's look at the brightened version.
Ew, I don't like that shit.
Yes.
Oh, true. Me too. That's a jump scare waiting to happen. That's a jump scare. This is a jump scare. I already know it is, because prepare yourselves. Everyone prepare yourselves. Why don't you not be a fucking jump scare? And I'm just, ew. That's nasty. Okay. Interesting. Wait, did you like kind of see something? Oh shit, oops. Did you like kind of see something like here? Like, do you see that? It like comes out and then goes in a little bit. Maybe that's just me like thinking into stuff too much, but kind of looks like something's like going out, looking, and then ducking back in, maybe. See, I mean, even with that happening, I would still leave. Like, it would take just that one thing happening. Yeah. Oh. Did he just get... Yeah, I don't think so either, honestly. Listen, I'm probably not gonna go to sleep anytime soon tonight either. But like, why did he get bodied by a fucking ghost like that? Yes, yeah, I knew that was something right there. What do you see? Good night. Oh, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Don't be too scared, okay? Alright, so since it's over, I'm gonna find another video. We can do this one since it's a bit longer. Is it playing? Okay, it is.
4 disturbing facts about your body. If your body's immune system finds out about your eyes, it will blind you. Yes, that is correct. Your eyes and your body have separate immune systems. And if for some reason your body's immune system discovers your eyes, it will attack them, sending you blind. You can get a condition called fatal familial insomnia. This is a condition where you cannot sleep for days and you begin to lose your mind bit by bit until you die.
I actually heard about this before, and it dead eyes. like scares me a little bit because, I mean, I don't know if it's very like common to get, but yeah,
Body
it's
is always
scary as
fighting
fuck.
cancer. In your lifetime, your immune system destroys anywhere from 5 to 8 cancerous cells that do not self-destruct. Some cancers fool your immune system so they can grow and spread. If you have even a small brain trauma, your brain can reset, changing your likes, dislikes, and other aspects of your personality.
That's cool. That's really cool. That isn't very like disturbing or
Disturbing
anything.
facts that will creep you TF out.
Okay.
You are always 6 minutes away from death. Breathing resets that clock. 3M is known as the devil's hour because it is said that during this hour the veil between our world and the
I
paranormal
know.
world is at
That's
its
why I hate it
thinnest.
so much.
Lapo divide is when you have self-destructive thoughts for a split second. For instance, picturing yourself swerving into oncoming traffic or jumping off of a bridge, although you never really would
So I do that a lot.
do it.
Every time I fucking every time I fucking drive, or if I'm like going on a bridge. Okay, so like sometimes when I go to work, I like have to drive on a bridge, and every time I go on that bridge, I'm like, what if I just like swerve into the fucking water? You know, I can't swim, so of course I'm gonna die. But you know, it's just like
Deja vu is the
thoughts.
opposite of deja vu. This is when you feel like you're seeing or experiencing something for the first time despite rationally knowing that you've seen or done it before.
Oh, okay, okay, that's interesting.
Have you ever really taken a good look at the Starbucks logo?
Okay.
Although today she is made to be more PG, disturbingly, however, she is actually a bare-chested creature with her tail spread wide open, and the history behind this creature
Oh,
and the reason it was chosen for the logo is even more disturbing. As it turns out, back in 1971, the coffee shop founders were inspired by the
why
fictional
did that not look like a tail? It looked like her legs. Like she was fucking bending the fuck out of her legs like that.
character Captain Starbuck from the story Moby Dick when choosing the name. Then, on the hunt for a logo, they wanted one that would capture the seafaring history of coffee. With Seattle being Starbucks' original home, which is a port city, and the fact that coffee beans typically travel from overseas, they decided to scour through old marine books for inspiration. They came across a 16th century depiction of a twin-tailed creature named a siren. Though typically mistaken
Oh.
for a mermaid, a siren, however, is a seductive and violent creature that uses its beauty to lure sailors into the water. A siren sings
Another
a
reason why I
soothing
don't like
song to put
water.
a man into a trance, which he would then be unable to resist her and would jump right into the water where he would be drugged to the bottom of the sea to be killed. They would also attempt to lure ships to rocks with these songs, causing them to crash and ultimately die. And the founders chose the siren for this very reason. See, they wanted people to smell Starbucks, to see Starbucks, and desire Starbucks, to give in to the temptation of their coffee. The
Oh.
founders wanted you to not be able to resist them, just like the sailors couldn't resist the siren. And though over the years the company has given the seductive siren a makeover, her dark and deep history remains.
That actually that actually makes a lot of sense because like majority of the people that like work like that like even drink coffee drink Starbucks. And like they say that they can't go like a day without Starbucks or something. That's crazy.
Now that was a crazy
Ooh,
story.
why the fuck your voice fucking be in my ears like that? Don't do that.
Remains.
I wasn't expecting that shit.
Now that was a crazy story.
This is Shannon McCool, one of the worst pedophiles of all time. I'm going to warn you right now, this story is incredibly disturbing and hard to listen to, so viewer discretion is advised.
Okay,
Shannon
reader
McCool
discussion.
is from Australia, and according to interviews that he gave after his arrest, he started having these feelings towards other children when he was 15 years
Oh.
old. So from a very young age, he felt these pedophilic behaviors and desires. In the year 2011, he began working for the Families SA, which is a part of the Australian government that oversees child care and abuse. And through this government job, he was able to get access to hundreds of children. These kids had been through it all already. They came from abusive and negative backgrounds, and he took this and used it to his advantage. He was able to get access to these kids for years, and even though other employees reported that he had been acting inappropriately with these youngsters, nothing happened. The government agencies ignored these red flags and kept him under their employment. But in the shadows, Shannon was engaging in some of the most deplorable internet behavior I've ever read about. He was a moderator for a website called The Love Zone, a website which had connections to Peter Scully, Richard Huckle, and a number of other pedophiles that we've talked about here on my TikTok in the past. But apparently, for other pedophiles to get access to this massive library of CP and become a member of the Love Zone, they had to upload their own user-generated CP at least once a month. This means that Shannon wasn't just taking kids from residential homes, abusing them, filming the videos, and putting them up on the internet for other people to seek out. He was actually encouraging people all across the planet to commit their own atrocious things. And he would then tell
I'm actually gonna skip this part a little bit. So I'm just gonna fast forward a little bit.
He thought they
Okay.
stopped recording.
I don't find it very funny statement at all, mate, to be quite honest. Should put that on recording. I'm still recording at this present stage, so that is on recording.
If you think the criminal in the video was stupid, you are absolutely correct. The man in the video was Martin Bryant, who despite being 28 years old during the interrogation, had an IQ of 66, equivalent to that of an 11-year-old. His actions,
That
however, were not
explains a
On
lot.
April 26, 1996, Brian would arrive at Port Arthur and carry out the deadliest massacre in modern Australian history, leaving 35 deceased and 23 others injured. Many believe that his actions were for attention and notoriety, inspired by previous
Ew, why the fuck you looking like
Neighbor
that?
Brian said that he allegedly told him
He's like, I'm a sinner to your soul.
to do something that would make everyone remember him. Others believe that his motive was to kill the couple, David and Noeline Martin. Brian blamed the couple and believed that they were the reason for his father's depression, which ended up with him taking his own life. After his capture, he was very curious about the total death count and seemed impressed by the number. Australia's most heinous man was given 35 life sentences and 1,652 years in prison.
Including people deceased, mate. 35. Many? Well, approximately 20.
Jesus.
Seriously or not?
Why the fuck was he like, seriously? Is that all? Like, the fuck? Dude, you're fucked up. You're genuinely, like, fucked up.
I know y'all remember the Titans. Don't it remind y'all of him?
Why the fuck are people, why is this dude fucking, you heard me about the Titans. You're fucked up. Like, bro, get out of my fucking ear with that shit.
I have no idea if my dad did it. I wouldn't blame him if he did. A week or so before my 10th birthday, I walked to the corner store with a $5 bill and picked up a jar of ragu for my mom. On my way home, a man I'd never seen before fell in step with me and began talking. Hi, he said, cheerfully. My name is Dr. Ramsey. I'm a pediatrician. Do you know what a pediatrician is? I walked along silently, not replying and fervently hoping he would take me
Excuse me.
leave me alone. Subtleties were not his strong suit, though, because he kept right on chattering.
He probably realized it, but didn't want to, take into account that, hey, this person does not want to talk to me. He was like, oh, I'll just have that and use that as more reason to talk to you or whatever. Shaking my hand. People are annoying.
Are your parents looking for a pediatrician for you? Of course. You're almost a big
Why is the fucking
needing another kind of doctor soon.
quality? Oh, so the quality is like naturally bad. Okay.
Can still bring you to me until then.
My bad. I just talked all over that shit. I'm sorry.
For a pediatrician for you? Of course. You're almost a big girl now. You'll be needing another kind of doctor soon, won't you? That's okay though. They can still bring you to me until then. What's your name? You have beautiful hair. I was just on my way to get some suckers for the candy jar in my office. Do you like suckers? Thankfully, we were nearing my house, so I ran forward, up the back steps and into through the kitchen door. I didn't know it then, but that was the beginning of a very long, very scary ordeal. It didn't take long after that for Dr. Ramsey to begin showing up. At first, it seemed benign enough, at least to a kid. He would drive by nearly every day, smiling and waving. I told my mom, who said maybe it was on his way home from work. But then, the phone calls began. My dad called me into the living room and sat me down. He asked about the day Dr. Ramsey followed me home, and if I talked to him. He said I wasn't in trouble, but that I needed to tell him the truth. I told him no, and he asked if I was sure. I told him no again, and he frowned, then asked, then how does he know your name? I didn't know. It turns out, that was not all he knew. He knew my sister's name as well. Pretty soon, neither my sister nor I were allowed to answer the phone. He called several times a day. At first, neither of us knew what he was saying. Then, one night, one of my brothers told us that he was telling my parents that he was going to hurt me, and later my sister. Things got complicated after that. My dad had called the police, but as this was before there were any stalking laws, there was not a lot they could do. They told my parents to call back if he tried anything. My dad then called a friend of his from back in the day, who happened to be a cop. For the next month, my dad's friend escorted me to and from school. Suddenly, life as I knew it came screeching to a halt. I couldn't walk to school alone, I couldn't play outside, I couldn't walk to 7 to 11. When access to me was completely denied, things escalated. It was around this time he began threatening my sister as well. Then one afternoon my sister, 2 of my brothers, my mom and I were all in the kitchen. One of my brothers saw a glimpse of someone in the garage. They'd seen him too. Dr. Ramsey came bolting out of the garage, my brothers chasing after him. They ran all the way to Cherokee Park, where he lost them in the trees. My parents called the police again, but nothing came of it. The only information they had was a description, and the fake name Dr. Ramsey. A couple of weeks later, we woke to find a dog hanging from the side porch. She was a gorgeous saddleback German Shepherd, born the same day I was. We were all devastated. The cops said there was no evidence it was him, and ruled it accidental. But
bro, see, this is why I'm not gonna say hate cops and police, but like, it's like, how many times does this shit have to happen for you to actually do something about it? You know? It's like, why do people have to always like have something bad happen to them to where it's like too late, kinda? And it's like, you know, it's like too late, but then the time when you want to start doing something about it, the person's like already dead, or something happened to them, and or the family's like, there's no point, or the dude that, or the person that did it is like dead already, and then they're like, well, there's nothing we can do now that the suspect is dead. Just like, why didn't you do something when they weren't dead? Anyways.
His phone calls became more informative in the meantime. He would talk about who was home, and who wasn't. If my brother would say my dad was home, he would tell him who was really in the house. He also would talk about the house itself. About the window in the kitchen he could easily open with a wedge from the outside even when it was locked, and about the French doors that connected the living room to the side porch and how the lock could be opened from the outside if you jiggled it just right. That night, my dad put in some carpenter nails at the bottom of the French doors until he could get a new lock ordered. My parents had to go to a company event for my dad's work. My older brothers were at Saints West roller skating rink. My sister was on the phone with her best friend. My little brother was on the floor asleep. I was watching Devo on the midnight special.
Why the fuck would you leave your kids alone when you know that that shit's happening? Why would you leave them alone in the house if you know that there's someone stalking them? If you know that there's been, like, not threats, but, like, there's been, like, stuff like this happening where, like, they're talking about, like, I know how to get into your house and shit, describing stuff, and then, let alone going into your garage trying to get into the house. Why would you... I don't understand parents sometimes. I was about to say something, but I'm not going to say it. So let's continue.
It was late. Suddenly, the top of the French door swung inward, and in the few milliseconds, before the nails in the bottom caused them to snap back, I could see his silhouette. My sister whipped the phone at the television, and we ran up the stairs. About halfway up, we realized our little brother was still asleep on the living room floor. As quietly as we could, we slipped back down the stairs to get him. We all went into our bedroom and didn't turn on the light. This way we could see outside. We watched out the window for a while, and when we didn't find him, we crept down the hall to our brother's room to look. We looked down and could see someone standing at the back door. He knocked, loudly. What do you want? My sister asked out the window. He stepped back and said, is this the Mercy residence? I have a pizza for delivery. Can you come to the door? She scoffed at him, declaring she was not stupid. She could see he didn't have a pizza, and she was calling the cops. He left. A short while later, my brothers returned home. We told them what happened and they walked around the yard, watching for him. They came back in, and things settled down. By now, we'd pretty much given up calling the cops because it never helped, so we just went back in, each of us carrying a knife from the kitchen just in case. Eventually, one of my brothers went into the kitchen to get a bowl of cereal as a snack. You know that sensation you get when you can just feel someone watching you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had that in spades. He kept looking around the kitchen, through the doorway into the dining room, at the windows. He didn't see anything, but he could still feel eyes on him, so he went closer to the door to try to see better. The kitchen lights were reflecting on the windows of the door, so he still couldn't see. He stepped closer, then closer again, until he was right up to the door, then cupped his hands on either side of his head so he could see. There on the other side of the window pane was Dr. Ramsey, smiling back at him. He turned to yell for my older brother.
That's terrifying.
When he looked back again, he was gone. They went out again to look for him, but didn't see him. The next night we were at the table playing Crazy Eights, and my brother was restless. My sister asked him what's wrong, and he said he always felt like any minute now Dr. Ramsey could show up. Almost immediately after he finished his sentence, we all heard boom 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 on the window right behind him. In the chaos, the 2 eldest ran out, but he was already gone. A couple of weeks later, I was at school and we were outside on the playground during recess. I was swinging upside down when I saw that now familiar blue Ford Galaxy cruising by, moving slowly. There he was, smiling and waving. He called my name, and I ran to the teacher and told her. The school had been told all about him, and she took me inside right away and called my mom. That same day my mom had gotten a call from the school office asking her to verify that my dad was picking me up, as he'd called to say he was on his way. He wasn't. Not long after that, I woke up one night, thirsty. I went down to the kitchen for a drink and there, sitting alone in the dark, was my dad. On the table, he had his 9mm. He was tired of the police waiting until Dr. Ramsey tried something. He was tired of his children being terrorized. He was tired of being afraid every time he left for work that something would happen to us while he was gone. I sat with him for a time, watching, before he sent me back to bed. As suddenly as it began, it was over. He had vanished from our lives. The phone calls, the drive-by with the creepy waves, everything. For a long time, during and after the Dr. Ramsey days, I would have a recurring nightmare in which I would wake up to find him standing over me as I slept. It took a long time before I felt like a kid again. I found out years later that when he was calling, Dr. Ramsey would tell my parents that he was going to abuse and hurt me and my sister, and that there was nothing they could do about it. I don't know what happened to him when he disappeared. I don't know if he was in a car wreck, locked in prison, or in a coma. Sometimes I wonder if the wait ended for my dad when he was sitting in the darkened kitchen one night. I don't know, and I'm not sure I want to.
Damn.
I don't know. I'm almost thinking that the father took him out. Let me know down in the comment section your opinion.
To reply to what you said, dude in the video that I didn't know fucking was here, yeah, I agree too. That, I think the dad did something. But, like, if he did something, you would hear the gunshot, no? Unless he, like, went out and, like, chased him, went out and chased him and stuff throughout the night.
On September 4th, 2017, 21-year-old student Jayla Gladden visited her local store. 11 minutes later, she headed back to her car. A man approached her and asked for a light. After she replied she didn't have one, Jayla felt something that made her freeze. A knife pressed against her while trying to get inside the car. The man forced his way into the car with her and took off. At 11:57 p.m., a witness dials 911.
Some weird situation. He grabbed her by the actual shoulder, and he had something at his right arm. It did not make sense.
So you think he kidnapped her?
A patrol car is dispatched to check things out, but finds nothing suspicious. At 2 a.m., Tamir...
It's another fucking police thing. At this point, I think the police are fucking useless at this point. Because, I mean, they're like, we won't do anything if nothing happens. Why does something have to happen for you to do shit? Why can't you do things to be precautious about it? And, you know, potentially save someone's life. Instead of saying, like, your life has to be in danger before we can do something about it. And then you show up late and you're like, saying like the sob story of like didn't make it on time or some shit, and then like when you call the fucking cops, it's like they take a long ass time to get there to you, so it's like what's the point in calling it? And then if you take matters into your own hand, then you'll get tried for like murder or some shit, you know? Like it's fucking ridiculous. This is why I stopped calling the cops a long time ago. And then you have the thing about race and shit too, but never mind. I'm not gonna get into that.
Bryant is woken up by a disturbing text from his girlfriend, Jayla.
It was the most scared I've been in my life.
Jayla has sent a location pin. It says she's in Atlanta, about 50 miles away. By then, the man had driven her for miles before stopping behind an abandoned church where she was assaulted, then continued the drive to Atlanta. Jayla's response is chilling. Kidnapped. When she typed on God, he knew it was serious. Her boyfriend rushed to the local police station, which notified the Atlanta Police Department. While on their way to Atlanta, the kidnapper had asked her the way to the nearest gas station. Jayla convinced him she needed her phone to Google the locations. She turned the screen's brightness down and secretly started texting. The texts began getting scarier. By 2:30, authorities are frantically searching for Jayla. The attacker stopped and parked near an Atlanta Kroger store, which he'd planned to rob the next morning. A police officer happened to be in the parking lot and noticed the car matching the description. The man panicked and tried speeding out of the parking lot, hitting for other vehicles and the park patrol car. His attempts to get away were promptly stopped and he was arrested. Timothy Wilson was charged with aggravated assault and 8, among other charges. In 2018, he was sentenced to life in prison.
As you should be.
Jayla's quick thinking and bravery saved her.
She was one lucky lady.
This next video was recorded by a security guard who was looking over at the security cameras inside a factory when he noticed something very strange. Somewhere inside this factory, a welder is working alone, but there's something about him that doesn't seem right. The security guard takes a closer look at the footage and immediately starts to feel uneasy. After watching this incident on the camera feed, he quickly calls over the welder to look at this video and explain what was happening in this clip. But just like the night guard, the welder was left completely baffled. He had no idea as to what was captured. Now this video took place during the night shift, which makes this incident twice as creepy. Nobody else had been working at this factory except the welder, but according to him, another welder who had the day off had come by to visit him. They had talked for just a bit before the night guard called over the welder to look at this footage. But after watching the video, the welder was left speechless. This is what was caught.
That's fucking terrifying, bro. I don't know how long I'm gonna do this shit because I'm getting scared myself. I rebuke everything in this fucking video. I rebuke it. Oh, thank you, Static Shock. Thank you.
As it turns out, the other welder who had dropped by to say hi wasn't actually there. The welder, who's seen on camera, swears that he saw the other worker in full uniform, as though he was ready to work. They had even shaken hands, according to him. But when looking at the footage, no one appears to be there. Although pretty strange, this incident gets a whole lot stranger after hearing what happened to the worker who apparently had the day off. To their shock, the factory had received news that this worker had passed away in his own home. His cause of death remains unknown.
See, things like this is like, kind of like, it's scary, like it's unnerving, but like it's also kind of cute, you know? Because it's like, he's like there hanging out at work, you know? Just going back to work and shit, and, you know, being, words, like, connecting with, like, his co-workers and stuff, you know? Something that's this type of, like, ghost things is, like, not that bad.
Died on the same day this occurrence took place, has left the welder feeling spooked. Could it be that the spirit of the welder's friend had paid him a visit during his shift? Or could this whole incident be explained by something else? As with all videos, there has yet to be a definitive answer to this question.
He could have been around, like walking around with a green screen suit on. Excuse me. No, that wouldn't work, actually. Never mind. This motherfucker gonna start talking again. You gonna start talking?
I'm not sure about that one. My first time.
Alright, we're gonna subscribe to this person. We're not watching this one because, like, what the fuck? Well, I mean, it's true crime. Okay, we can do just
Security cameras of a construction
you can do this one.
showed a man murdering a woman and moving her dead body into his storage unit.
Her rental unit has been entered by another individual. We have it on surveillance case.
It turned out that that man was called Michael J. Olson. Due to his history of petty crimes, when police tracked him down, they tricked him into thinking he was being questioned for something other than murder.
So your storage unit up there by North Hill, when was the last time you were there?
Uh-oh. When he finally caved in, he shared his gruesome confession.
Just not get grounded.
When he came face to face with the victim's family in court, they certainly didn't hold back.
I'll pray for your family, but I won't pray for you. Because you are the devil.
The full story is out on my channel now.
Shit, he doesn't deserve to be prayed for.
That comes along with it.
The vicious person who raped and murdered her.
This is why you shouldn't go out exploring at night.
You're just gonna...
William Sanders, guiding more than 100 students out of the cafeteria during Columbine High School massacre.
Oh, shit.
He was soon after shot twice in the chest and didn't survive. Last image of Uruguayan flight 571 before it crashed. Survivors were eventually forced to cannibalize. 16 people were rescued 72 days later.
Damn.
The moments before TransAsia's Flight 235 crashed in the Keelan River in Taiwan. The plane carried 58 people, only 15 survived. West Milford.
I still think it's a miracle that even people survive a plane crash, because it's a plane crash. You know, it's understandable with like a car, but like a plane, you're literally falling from the sky. Like, I don't, maybe they like went into water or some shit, but
Hike in New Jersey, moments before the bear in the picture attacked and killed him. The band Great White playing at Rhode Island Station nightclub, just before their pyrotechnics caused a fire that killed more than people.
More than people.
Took 2 bullets to the head because of an Instagram story. I am Pop Smoke, and this is my tale. Born on the 20th of July, 1999, I was raised in Brooklyn, in a household where money was hard to come by. From a tender age, I sought ways to make ends meet. I took on odd jobs here and there, but music was my true siren's call. I started to spit bars when I was in middle school, penning lyrics in my notebook. I was never the poster child for academia, but when it came to rap, I was all in. I began freestyling with my friends, and we quickly recognized there was something unique about me. When my first hit dropped, everything shifted. People began to take notice, and I got signed to a record label. I released
Congratulations.
bangers like Dior and Mood Swings, and I rubbed shoulders with big wigs in the rap game. I never forgot my roots and kept Brooklyn close to my heart. I was proud to represent my city. I worked tirelessly to get to where I was, and I wanted my fans to know they too could chase and capture their dreams. Regrettably, it all came to a tragic end when I was murdered in 2020. I had adversaries who traced me via an Instagram story. Social media can make you soar, but it can also bury you. My demise sent shockwaves through the music world, but my legacy endures through my tracks. Stay safe, and I'll catch you on the flip side.
rest in peace.
Horrifying piece of CCTV footage. A man tries to abduct a barista through the drive-through window. Washington State Police have released this clip that occurred on Monday at around 5 a.m. of a man in his car trying to pull the barista out of the drive-through window into his car whilst he's holding a zip tie device. She's seen just handling cash before he literally lurches out of the window and grabs her wrist, and the other hand has a zip tie. Thankfully, she managed to escape before he just sped off. Despite the terrifying nature of the crime, thankfully, due to the publication of the CCTV, police received loads of tips and actually arrested a suspect on Tuesday morning. The giveaway for the alleged suspect was actually the tattoo, which spelled Chevrolet. Not a very common tattoo, but led to a lot of people phoning in and even giving a name. Thank goodness she managed to get away. That is not okay.
This is one of the strangest copycat crimes you will ever hear.
Interesting.
After the 9/11 terrorist attacks in New York City, there was a genuine concern that people would try to copy this attack. And although there were some attempts, most of these people were caught before they did anything. However, there was somebody who successfully stole a plane and flew it into a tower in America. This person was 15-year-old Charles J. Bishop. At the time,
But like, why? That's like the main question. Why? Why?
He was a student pilot, and on the 5th of January 2002, his instructor left him alone in the plane to do the pre-flight inspection. During this time,
bishop took flight without permission and headed straight towards the Bank of America Tower in Tampa, Florida. He crashed directly into it and was killed in the process. Luckily, there were no other fatalities. Initially, officials ruled out terrorism, but inside the wreckage of the plane, they found a note written by Charles where he voiced support for Osama bin Laden and the 9/11 attacks. He also stated that he was doing this on behalf of Al-Qaeda. All of these insane facts are the reason that
The unsolved Black Dahlia murder. On January 15,
That's
1947,
terrifying.
the remains of a 22-year-old Elizabeth Short. Her body was cut in half and so pale and drained of blood that the woman who found the body mistook it for a mannequin. The body was cut with surgical precision, leaving no trauma to internal organs and bones. Her face was also cut from her mouth to ears, leaving a permanent smile. There was no blood on the ground, making it believed that the body was moved after she had been murdered. 9 days after she was discovered, an envelope was sent to the Examiner addressed by using individual cut and pasted letters from magazines and newspapers. It read the Los Angeles Examiner and other Los Angeles papers. Here is Dahlia's belongings. Letter to follow. On March, a suicide note was found tucked in a shoe in a pile of men's clothing by the oceans in Venice. To whom it may concern, I have waited for the police to capture me for the Black Dahlia killing, but have not. I am too much of a coward to turn myself in. So this is the best way out for me. I couldn't help myself for that. All this. Sorry, Mary.
My daughter gave birth to my 7 children. My name is Joseph Fritz, and this is my terrible story. I built a secret basement under my house in Austria. There, I locked up my own daughter Elizabeth for 24 long years. I was a manipulative, domineering father. No one could have guessed what was going on in that basement. I led a double life. A normal husband and father on the top floor and a monster in the secret basement. During the years I spent with that basement, I committed atrocities against my own daughter. Elizabeth had 7 children. 4 of them grew up with her in that secret basement, while the other 3 lived upstairs with my wife and me, unaware of the truth. But in 2008, everything changed. One of the girls was born in the basement because Austin became seriously ill. I had to take her to the hospital, but I didn't know that would be the beginning of my downfall. The doctors asked questions. The police and media began to investigate. My terrible secret was revealed. The basement in which I had locked my daughter and children was discovered. In 2009, I was sentenced to life imprisonment. I'm now behind bars where I can't do anything to anyone.
As you should be, the fuck.
My story has shocked the world, and many people wonder how such a crime could go unnoticed for so long.
The fact that this story is true makes it that much more terrifying. A young mom was walking down a dark street with her 2 kids. As they stroll along, a stranger approaches them and starts talking about their Christmas plans. Well, the kids, innocent and excited, chatted away about Santa and family time and beautiful decorations in their house. Well, this is where things turn creepy. Something didn't feel right to the mom, so she picked up her pace. But the man kept asking about their house. And when they were only 10 houses away, he asked an even more horrifying question. Is your dad home? That night, the dad was actually away at a conference, and the little sister quickly told the man that he was not. And when they reached the front yard, the man rushed towards their door, speaking in a creepy but sweet voice, asking, "Can I see the decorations?" The mom locked the door, feeling him push from the other side. She turned off the lights and took her kids upstairs, but they could still hear the man pacing and knocking outside. The man's request turned into a scary demand. "Let me in to see the decorations." The mom called her husband, who immediately rushed home, but when he got there, the man was gone. Do you think that he only wanted to see the decorations?
I mean, obviously he didn't.
Smash the like button and follow, because my next story is even crazier.
That's disturbing. 911 calls.
Emergency.
Yes, ma'am. I just shot my daughter and shot all my grandkids, and I'll be sitting on my step, and then when you get here, I'm going to shoot myself.
What is the address that you're at, sir?
2550 Northwest, 25 Terrace, Don Spears. Every one of them are dead.
You said your name is Don Spirit?
Yep.
Alright, Don, what kind of gun do you have?
It doesn't matter what kind of gun I got. They're all dead, and then when you get here, I'll shoot myself, and then you figure out what kind of gun it is.
How long ago this happened, Don?
I don't want to hear it, man. I'm done with every fucking thing. Just bring the motherfuckers out here, that's all. You got all the kids are dead in the house.
Okay, how many people? Okay, how many people?
6 kids, 1 adult.
6 kids and 1 adult?
Yeah. One of them is a baby.
A baby? Bro.
Alright, Don, is there any way you can stay on the phone with me till I get somebody there to help you?
What's that?
Can I have you stay on the phone with me?
No, not that. I'm waiting for them to get here. When they get here, I'm going to shoot myself on my back step. All I'm doing is waiting for them.
So you're sitting on your back steps?
Yep.
I don't see how people can, like, kill, like, I don't see how people can kill a kid, you know? Let alone their child, or, like, their loved one, or, like, you know, a baby. Like, how can you kill a baby? It's a baby. Or anybody in general, like, what did the fucking baby do to you? You know? Like, what the fuck did it do to you? Absolutely nothing. So why are you trying to kill it? Or why did you kill it? And then the fucking kids, too?
Okay, Don,
decided to do this.
What the fuck is this? What is this? Hold up.
I bet you didn't know the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is based off true events. I am Bubba Sawyer, but you may know me as Leatherface. I was born into a deranged family of cannibals and sadistic killers living in a remote Texas farmhouse. My mother was a quiet woman, but my father was a monster. He was an abusive alcoholic who would beat my mother and us kids whenever he got the chance. As a child, I was always fascinated with the animals that my father would bring home to slaughter. I would watch as he killed them, and I felt a strange sense of satisfaction. I didn't realize it at the time, but that was the beginning of my descent into madness. One day, my father brought home a chainsaw. It was a massive tool, and I was in awe of it. I begged my father to let me use it, and he eventually gave in. From that moment on, I was hooked. I would spend hours on end, cutting through trees and anything else that I could find. The sound of a chainsaw was like music to my ears. It was my escape from the reality of my life. But it wasn't until my father died that I truly lost my mind. I inherited his house, and I turned it into my own personal slaughterhouse. I would lure people in and kill them using my trusty chainsaw to do the deed. The screams of my victims were like a symphony to me. One day, a man named Kirk entered my home to barter for gas. I attacked him with a hammer, killing him. A woman named Pam came in after him. She found my living room strewn with human and animal bones. I grabbed her, impaled her on a meat hook, and dismembered Kirk's body with my chainsaw as Pam
Jesus,
watched.
dude.
Jerry came looking for them both. He found Pam's nearly dead, spasming body in a chest freezer. I killed him with a hammer. Later that night, I ambushed their 2 surviving friends, Sally and Franklin. I killed Franklin with my chainsaw. I captured Sally and brought her back to the house. We tried to include Grandpa in murdering her with a hammer, but Grandpa's grip was weak, and he kept dropping the hammer repeatedly. Sally broke free and ran onto our road in front of our house, pursued by my family. The truck driver attacks me with a large wrench, injuring me, and escaped on foot. Sally, covered in blood, flags down a passing pickup truck and climbs into the bed, narrowly escaping me. I was so angry.
Bro, this sounds like a fucking movie. I'm pretty sure they've made this. I'm pretty sure they probably made, or they probably have made it into a movie, or they're probably gonna make it into a movie. But, like, this is crazy, dude, and fucked up, but also crazy.
Let her get away. My family won't be happy about this.
What the fuck? Oh, it's the knife.
If you're thinking about ignoring your gut instinct, don't. Here are 3 reasons why you should trust it. Reddit user Pagerama said that she was at a festival with her friends, and one of them really wanted to go on this giant drop-style carnival ride. Pagerama said that at this particular time, she just really didn't feel good about going on the ride, and suggested that they do something else instead. Later that day, they found out that a girl had died on the ride, just a few hours after they were there. Apparently, she wasn't harnessed in properly, and she fell out as the ride dropped. A Reddit user we'll call Jessica said that she was walking back from her grandmother's house when a car pulled up beside her. As she kept walking, the car slowly followed. When she looked into the car, there was a man in his 30s or 40s who had the evilest grin on his face. She said that his face has still never left her mind. As he was slowly coming toward her, his eyes stayed on her. She screamed out for help and ran until she found someone that let her into their house. The man didn't leave until they called the police. When they came, they searched his car and found handcuffs, a blindfold, and a big container with 2 holes poked in the top. Her instincts saved her from being kidnapped. Anonymous said that after a party many years ago, he was driving home at like 4 in the morning with his friend who was passed out in the passenger seat. He was driving fast down a steep hill that's like half a mile long. He was on autopilot as he drove down that street every day. Suddenly, about half a block from a major intersection, which he had a green light for, he heard a voice in his head. It said these exact words: "You may want to slow down, because if you don't, you might lose your life." He said that it was weird, because that's not really what his tone of voice sounds like. Anyway, he slowed down as he was entering the intersection, and a car blew the red light at about 60 miles per hour right in front of him. He said that it was so close that he nearly threw up. He started shaking and yelling at his friend about how he had just saved their lives. His friend just groaned and went back to sleep.
Even I can look at this photograph and say, whoa. It put tears in our eyes when we walked in there. It was that obvious.
That is a charge called homicide, felony murder. It is life without parole.
And you said when you found her, she was already believed to be deceased, right? Yeah.
Wait, so like, is the wife? I'm guessing that's the wife, but is the wife like with him? Like, did she also decide to try and kill the baby or kill the baby? And also, is she crying because he's getting sentenced to life without parole? Or is she crying because the baby is dead? Because if you're crying because your husband's getting that much time in prison, you're fucked up. You should go to jail too. Excuse me.
What you just heard and are about to hear is some of the most extreme, bizarre, and baffling thinking ever caught on camera. A child's life taken in the most sickening way, and for one reason so unthinkable, you'll have a hard time believing it was actually said out loud.
I called my lawyer first thing to ask, what's the next thing I should do, and they said wait till they're here to call, the police and get that going. Basically, it got to the point where I was waiting so long, I just kind of went ahead and did it anyway. We will send someone out, and we're going to investigate.
After placing the call to emergency services, Seth and his wife, Tatiana Fasari, were escorted to the police station in King County, Michigan.
Okay, so the wife was also...
What happened to their child.
Okay.
It's important to know that both were there voluntarily and not under arrest at the time of these interviews that have never been seen before. The interrogation room is stark, with bare walls, only outfitted with uncomfortable chairs and a table. There are no distractions. All of this is intended to make the person in the room uncomfortable and uneasy. That way, they're dependent on the interrogator to provide them comfort with things such as food and water, or even other favors such as cigarettes or compliments. This gives the interrogator leverage. Seth appears to be nervous as he sits and fidgets. Most people are nervous in an interrogation room, so none of this is really surprising. However, given the situation, his behavior is a bit odd.
Tell me what's going on.
You don't know why you called 911?
Yes, I do.
there's a reason why she can't tell me.
Are you able to talk, or is there someone? No. Okay. Are you in danger?
Yes.
Okay. Has someone kidnapped you?
I don't know.
Turned out that she was on a date with someone, and they had given her something to drink, and she woke up, and the suspect was sexually assaulting her. And now they were in a vehicle driving along the road. She finally convinced him to let her use the phone, and she called 911.
Does this person know you've called 911?
No.
Okay. Okay, then just pretend like you're talking to your friend, and I'll see if I can't get somebody to help you.
At the time, I could tell that she had called 911 4 times, and all 4 times they had disconnected because she wouldn't tell them what was going on. I was a little bit humbled at that point that I finally got her on the line and was willing to ask her more questions.
Are you in a truck?
Yes.
Okay.
She was in a black pickup truck, extended cab. The suspect had some type of weapon. She couldn't really tell me what. And every so often he would get a little bit suspicious and say, "Who are you talking to?" And she's like, "It's my sister." So I had to kind of change up. It was really a challenging call. I was on the phone with her for a good 20 minutes.
It's my sister. Want to know.
And why can't you talk? Are you afraid he's going to hurt you?
Yes.
Okay. Has he already hurt you tonight?
Yes.
Okay. I'm getting help your way. Just stay on the phone, okay?
Okay.
We finally get an officer behind her, and as he pulls up behind, he's waiting for a backup, but the car blacks out his lights and went to turn up into this rural area where there was, the officer said, "Hey, I'm going to have to pull him over or I'm going to lose him."
Did he turn the lights off to the car?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he turned off the lights.
Okay, the officer can see.
I spent a weekend with one of the most notorious killers in Texas. So in my early 20s, I spent a lot of time in South Texas in women's...
I've actually seen this one on TikTok before, and I don't remember what it was about, but I do remember this TikTok.
...and forgiveness and second chances at life. And on this one particular weekend, when we arrived, the correctional officers informed our team that there was a new inmate on the premises. She was only 17 years old and had been tried and convicted as an adult for a very violent crime. And because I was the youngest person on our prison team, they voted me to be the one to work with her because she was young, I was young, and she might relate to me and open up to me. Now, I had a rule for myself when I worked with these women to never look up their crimes. I didn't want it to affect my judgment about them or to affect my willingness to help them, so that was just a rule that I always kept. So the correctional officers, they walked me down this long corridor into a classroom where sitting at the table was Erin Caffey. Now, Erin Caffey is a tiny thing. Now, I'm a tiny person, and I dwarfed her. She's very small, very timid, very soft-spoken, rarely will look you in the eye. And my first thought whenever I lay eyes on her and I sit down across from her is, how can somebody this small and this timid possibly be convicted after...
The thing is about, like, the quiet people, I feel like quiet people are the most dangerous, because, like, you have the people that, like, talk a lot, and you have the people that, like, are very, you know, outspoken and says what's on their mind. But then you have the people that are, like, shy and don't talk much. And then it's like, those are the ones that are usually more likely to have, like, I don't know, like, something that's, like, not good. Like, explosions of anger and stuff, because, like, say if you're, like, bullying someone and they're the quiet and timid one, that's fucking dangerous. Like, don't do that shit. Don't bully the fucking quiet people. Don't bully anybody in general, but, like, just don't. Yeah, you don't want to do that to yourself.
...for a violent crime. What violence is she possibly capable of? Little did I know. We started talking, and we kind of started to get to know each other a little bit, cracked a few jokes. I tried to get her to lighten up. And eventually, she did start kind of opening up to me, and she started volunteering some details about her version of what had happened the night of her crime. And I have to admit, you know, even though I had a rule to really try not to know what people had done, I was very curious because, again, here's this tiny little thing. She's 17 years old, looks scared to death, and she's in this facility. And, well, her version of the events that took place the night of the crime led me to believe that she was a victim in all of it and that it was really out of her hands. She couldn't stop it, and she's haunted by it, regrets it every day of her life, and she just wishes she could take it all back. And y'all, she was so convincing, just absolutely convincing, that I truly believed that she was innocent. She had somehow gotten mixed up with the wrong crowd, was wrongly convicted, and I started brainstorming in my head, like, how can I raise awareness about this and help her get out? Little did I know, in my naivety, that this young lady was a psychopath. She was very cunning, very manipulative, and the small, mousy, timid, soft-spoken thing was very much a calculated tactic to be a wolf in sheep's clothing. And my time with her started a long season of my life of panic attacks and nightmares, and I'm going to tell you more about that.
Some creepy shit you will see on a Ring camera. I'm so glad I have mine.
Bro, that shit makes me so nervous whenever they like take their time with closing the door. Bro, I don't. The thing about me is I close my door so fucking quick. Even when I get in the car, I literally get in, shut my door, immediately lock the doors. Like, nah. Wow. That's so scary, bro. Like, house fires are so scary.
If I didn't know this was a true crime case, I would think it was a disturbing horror film. On the morning of the 7th of October 2022, a barefoot woman was running around Excelsior Springs, Missouri, bashing on people's doors. Witnesses describe her looking like she came straight from a horror film and she was calling for help. She'd been beaten, held captive, and SA'd for weeks. The woman was a shocking sight. She was covered in injuries and was wearing a bin bag. Disturbingly, she was gasping for breath as she had a very tight metal collar locked round her neck. It was a nurse who opened the door to her and let her come in. The nurse started to call police, and at this point the woman panicked. She warned her that the captor would kill her and claimed that he had killed her two friends. When police got there, the woman explained that a man called Timothy had captured her the month prior. He'd been holding her hostage this whole time. She said he'd been keeping her locked in the basement and had been SAing her. Disturbingly, she told police that he actually had a young son who lived at the house with him.
I pray for that son, bro.
Taken his young son to school the one day, she used it as her opportunity to escape. Police made their way to the home of 39-year-old Timothy Haslett Jr. and found the property did in fact have a basement like the woman described. Timothy was arrested and is facing 9 charges, including first-degree kidnapping. He's being held on a $3 million bond and faces 5 life sentences. Before his arrest, police were actually called to his address 3 times. Twice they were asked to do welfare checks, and this was from an employer and also family members. Police have searched his home with cadaver dogs, and they haven't yet released what they know.
Montgomery County 911, where's your emergency?
I stabbed myself and I killed my 2 children.
You stabbed yourself and killed your 2 children?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what's your name?
Brandy Worley.
Brandy what?
Worley.
And where are the children at?
In my daughter's room on the floor.
In your daughter's room on the floor? Okay. And what caused you to do this today?
My husband wanted to divorce and wanted to take my kids. I won't let him have my kids.
Okay, and how old are your children?
7 and 3.
Bro.
And where did you stab yourself at?
In the neck.
Okay, are you bleeding?
Yeah, there's blood everywhere.
Okay, and where are you at?
In my living room.
You're in your living room?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and are you armed now with the knife still?
You're asking all the wrong questions. I mean, yeah, you can ask those questions, but like, you need to be asking where are you located? What street are you at? You know? And then it's the fact that like she's so like nonchalant about it too. Like, I cannot, me personally, I could never work in like the police area or like, um, I forgot what they're called. I think it's like dispatch. Um, I cannot because I would not be able to handle like taking all these calls and shit.
Downstairs somewhere.
Okay, what's his condition?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him.
And what are you feeling right now? I mean, you're tired? Are you where?
Yeah, I took a lot of Benadryl.
You took a lot of Benadryl?
Yeah.
Okay.
I took 6 bullets to the head for scoring an own goal. My name is Andres Escobar, and my story is one of the most horrifying in the world of football. It all started on June 23, 1994, during a match with my national team, Colombia, against the United States. This was the second group stage match of the World Cup. After a defeat in our first match, we were desperate for a victory. The tension was high. In the 33rd minute, the United States launched an attack and decided to deliver a cross into the penalty area. I lunged forward to intercept the ball, but tragically it deflected off me and went into my own net, an own goal. This put the United States in the lead with a score of 1-0, and they ultimately won the match, resulting in our elimination from the World Cup. The Colombian people were infuriated with me following that mistake, a mistake that would ultimately cost me my life. A week later, on July 1st, I made the ill-fated decision to visit a nightclub in Medellin with some friends. Little did I know that it would be a decision I would deeply regret. As I left the club around 3 in the morning, I found myself alone in my car in the parking lot. It was already too late at that moment. Out of nowhere, an armed commando consisting of 3 men suddenly appeared and mercilessly showered me with bullets. I sustained a total of 6 gunshot wounds to my head. According to witnesses, one of the assailants even shouted, "Goal," with each shot cruelly mocking my own goal on the football field.
That's so fucked up. Like, dude, it's not even that fucking serious. Like, I get it, sports, but like, it doesn't matter. Like, that's a life. Like, you killed a person for a game that can happen again in like a year. Like, the fuck? What? Maybe not a year, but, you know, again, eventually.
He was later apprehended and sentenced to 43 years in prison for this abhorrent act. I left behind my wife and children, forever altering their lives. Stay tuned for more stories.
What the fuck is this? And what the fuck is that? Which one? Which one? Any, meeny, miny, mouse. I'm going to pick that very best one, and you are not it. This one, of course. Of course, it's this one.
3 young boys ding-dong ditched my house, so I chased them down and murdered them. I'm Anurag Chandra, and here's a tale from my life. In the cold night of January 2020, I was startled by my doorbell ringing. Glancing out the window, I spotted 3 youngsters racing toward their car. Fear for my family overtook me, and I jumped in my vehicle, accelerating to over 100 miles an hour to pursue them. I caught up and rammed into them as hard as possible, sending their car spiraling off the road into a tree. Seeing the heavy damage, I retreated home, my plan a success. However, the day took a grim turn when the police arrived at my doorstep. They informed me that all 3 boys had died, and I was charged with 3 counts of murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. I tried to explain that my actions were in self-defense and fueled by the fear I felt for my family, not to mention the alcohol influencing my judgment. Despite my pleas, I was convicted and handed a life sentence without parole. Follow for more stories.
St. Bernard sits at the top of the driveway, and the December of 2019, the Tot family disappeared in thin air, and when police arrived at their house, they were utterly disturbed. Hi, my name is Ethan, and here's everything you need to know in under 1 minute. Walking into the home lay the confused father, Anthony Tot, who had apparently taken a whole bottle of Benadryl. Wrapped in the blankets by the bed lay the decayed bodies of his wife, their 3 children, and family dog. When he sobered up, his story changed multiple times, but the one that stuck was that him and his family had tried to unalive themselves because of the upcoming apocalypse. Apparently, if they unalived themselves in the same room, they would stay in the afterlife together. He even claimed that all 3 of his children, who were aged 13, 11, and 4, claimed that they agreed to take their own lives. Thankfully, he was arrested and sentenced to life in prison without parole.
So in the 1800s, a man took his wife and 2 kids to Arizona down into a canyon. Now, his whole reason in doing this was he was a prospector for gold. He would go out there and he would search for gold. He was trying to get wealthy. Well, he goes out one evening and he doesn't come home ever. And his wife, not knowing how to hunt, loses her ability to feed her kids. Weeks go by and her kids are starving and they're crying all the time, and she finally snaps and goes crazy. And then she does something horrible. She takes her kids and then she uses their blood to paint all the walls. She then wraps them in a sheet and takes them out to the river and tosses them in. Then she lays down next to the river and she dies herself. Now the legend goes that if you're ever in Slaughterhouse Canyon and you hear the wails and cries of a mother, don't go looking, and definitely don't go near the water. This story will make you scared of the woods.
I'm already scared of the woods, man.
Staying in a very isolated cabin in the backcountry of Oregon in early 2010. One day he saw footprints leading up to his cabin, but then they disappeared. He was confused because there were no other cabins nearby. That night he woke up to the sound of someone walking on his roof. Though he didn't want to, he headed to the balcony to take a look. Nothing was there, but then his dog saw something in the forest and started growling. That's when he saw it, a freakishly tall figure squatting on a branch only 20 feet away from him, just staring at him. As he was backing up, he tripped over the door jamb, falling to the ground. He jumped up, grabbed his dog and locked the door, ran to a nearby closet and locked himself in. For hours he listened as the creature knocked on the house, as if asking nicely to just be let in. Follow, because my next story is crazy.
I bet you haven't heard of the darkest streaming service. I found this European streaming service called Viaplay that just became available in the US, and it has some really dark true crime series. And one that I can't stop thinking about is the story of Natasha Kampusch. Natasha was just 10 years old and living in Vienna when she was
is this video?
on her way to school.
Okay.
Her kidnapper was Wolfgang Priklopil, and he took her to his home, which was only 30 minutes away. He had built this tiny room in his basement under his garage, and that's where he kept Natasha for the next 8.5 years. One of the saddest parts is that years into having kidnapped her, he would take Natasha out in public, and she would make this same face that was in her missing poster so that people would recognize her. But no one ever did, and no one reported him to the police. It actually wasn't until she was 18 and she was outside vacuuming his van one day where she was able to take off running. She stopped a few people on the street who wouldn't call the police for her, but she eventually made it to a neighbor's house who did. Now, she's telling her story in her own words on Viaplay's new show, Natasha Kampusch, A Lifetime in Prison. You can support Natasha by watching the show, and if you get Viaplay, make sure to check out some of their other series because they're really good.
I'm gonna watch that.
Imagine being locked up for 24 years by your own family, in darkness, hunger, and solitude. My name is Blanche Monnier, and this is the terrifying story of my life. Mysteriously disappearing at the age of 25, society forgot about me. But 24 years later, in a dark attic of our grand house in Poitiers, I was found, a living skeleton weighing 25 kilograms. The reason for my hell? A forbidden love with a poor lawyer. My mother, a powerful and respected woman, could not bear this romance. With the complicity of my brother, she drugged and locked me up. I was forgotten until an anonymous letter guided the police to my prison. When they opened that door, horror greeted them, me, chained, weakened, surrounded by filth and decay. After my release, I tried to rebuild myself, but the scars were too deep. I died in 1913, broken. My mother died shortly after her arrest, and my brother escaped justice. Who saved my soul by sending that letter? It remains one of the greatest mysteries of French history. My story is a chilling testament to the horrors that man can inflict. Follow Detective File for more stories.
I'm gonna
Hope
give
you
you
rest
3
in
seconds to
peace.
try to guess what's happening in this video. It's gonna sound crazy, but people are saying that this light flickering is a desperate plea from a ghost. Let me explain. So this is the Halcyon House, and it's one of the most haunted houses in Washington, D.C. I talk about it in this week's episode, but this house used to be owned 120 years ago by a man named Albert. Albert went mad in the house and got into some really dark stuff. He thought if he ever stopped working on the house, he would die, so he hired a man to just continuously be working on the house. And he built whatever he could. He doubled the size of the house. He built stairways that went nowhere. There was even a door on the top floor that just opened out into the air. Albert was this huge collector, so he would buy Greek statues and mummies and just live in the house amongst his collection. Eventually, Albert does die, and when he does, he has some really strange final requests. He wants to be buried on the property, he wants a wooden stake driven through his heart, and he wants a promise that electricity will never be installed. But none of his requests were ever fulfilled, and now people say that this light flickers because it's Albert trying to turn off the electricity. Check out this week's episode for more spooky stories. This photo is terrifying,
Interesting.
but not for the reason you think. Sure, it does look like Abraham Lincoln is giving his wife a back massage from the afterlife, and that is spooky. But this woman here, Mary Todd Lincoln, was into some really witchy stuff and is the reason that the White House is haunted. Let me explain. And before we dive in, tonight's episode is all about hauntings of the White House, so you don't want to miss it. So when the Lincolns were in the White House, their youngest son, Willie, died of typhoid fever. He was only 11 when he died, and Mary, who was already suffering from mental health issues, was inconsolable when he died. And in her grief and desperation, she started holding seances in the White House. At first, they were harmless. She would just conjure the ghost of Willie, whose ghost actually still haunts the White House today. But then they started getting out of control, and Mary was calling all sorts of ghosts into the White House. Guests would hear stomping and swearing come from nowhere. One person said they even heard Andrew Jackson playing the violin once. And the White House stayed haunted after she stopped doing these seances. When William Howard Taft was president, his aides said that they were being tormented by a ghost they called the Thing. And one woman who thought she saw it actually said it looked like a young boy. So when you see this photo, it may look like a gag, but Mary was up to some really witchy stuff in the White House. Be sure to tune in tonight for more spooky stories and history.
Out of the darkness, this guy appears and grabs her by the hair. He drags the woman off the porch. Her screams ring out as the struggle goes on. Then the guy delivers a grim warning.
We looked out the side window over here and witnessed him stomping on her and pulling her by her hair. It was awful.
That chilling video was recorded by a doorbell camera at a home here in Arcadia, California, about
No.
20 miles from Los Angeles. The owner sent the footage to cops. They searched the neighborhood and say they found a woman being held captive inside this home right around the corner. Police identified the man as Robert Mendez. He is the victim's estranged boyfriend. He was charged with suspicion of attempted murder and kidnapping.
But like, why? I don't understand why. So, I don't understand why. Like, if you hear someone, I understand like that's like scary to hear at night, hearing someone scream for help and shit in your neighborhood. But like, if I heard someone screaming for help, I would immediately go out or at least look out my window just to see like what's going on. I'm not gonna like just like, oh, it might just be someone playing around, you know. But like, I would not just no, it couldn't be me.
She had suffered multiple injuries, enough to require hospital attention.
According to police, the woman...
Um, 2 years as disabled neighbor. Fear harassment has been caught in swings. Doorbell camera many times. But like, why? The reason behind this man's attack on his neighbor's property are not unknown. Over the past 6 months, Gross has been convicted of charges of harassment in order to pay for damages. As he should be, the fuck? But the restraining order that has been placed clearly has no effect, as Graves is still arresting for respond.
surveillance footage you're witnessing here is the last few moments of Lily Sullivan's life. She recently turned 18 and was eager to experience everything adult life had to offer. On December 16, 2021, Lily was out with friends at the Paddles nightclub in Pembroke, Wales, when she met 31-year-old Lewis Haynes. The two hit it off immediately and hung out for most of the night, dancing, laughing, and flirting. At around 2 a.m. that morning, Lily and Lewis left the club together in search of a bit of privacy, before her mom was due to pick her up at 3 a.m. They walked to a nearby alleyway, which was secluded and unlit, giving them the privacy they had wanted. At 2:45, Lily's mom arrived and called her to let her know that she was waiting at a nearby gas station. Lily assured her mom that she was on her way and that she would be there in a couple of minutes. However, as the minutes ticked by without Lily's arrival, her mom grew increasingly concerned. She tried calling Lily a total of 30 times, but all of her calls went unanswered. At 3:08 a.m., Lewis is seen running across the bridge of the Pembroke Mill Pond, and 2 minutes later he reaches the very same gas station where Lily's mom was anxiously awaiting her daughter's arrival. Her mom immediately notices Lewis, sensing something peculiar about his behavior. He shakes his head a few times and even holds his head in his hands, exhibiting signs of unease. At one point, he turns back and makes direct eye contact with her before continuing onward and disappearing into the nearby woods. Unbeknownst to Lily's mom, the man she had just made eye contact with was the very same man who had murdered her daughter a couple of minutes earlier. This is the heartbreaking case of Lily Sullivan.
But what? This lady was dancing and noticed her stalker standing at her window, looking straight at her and about to enter her home.
Please get out of my apartment right now. Please get out of my apartment right now. Get out. Get out. Hello? Please come in.
Bro, that's so fucked up. Like, why are people so crazy, dude? Like, I don't know why the same video is playing again, but
Please get out of my apartment right now. Get out. Get out.
she honestly should have like went and made sure the door was locked before she went to the other apartment.
Please come in.
Most disturbing things on the community. Couple reported a break-in and the police advised getting new security cameras, okay? On May 8th that same year, the same cameras caught 2 men breaking in. 2 men break in over a fence and enter through the sliding glass door. They walk inside and disconnect the phone lines and open cabinets and drawers. They find knives and arm themselves. But why? On different cameras, they are caught running upstairs. I hope nobody was home. They have to look around and one man comes across a locked door. He listens closer and hears a baby crying. Damn. Instead of leaving, they kick the door, trying to get in, kicking a hole through the door. Inside the room is a family friend called Rosie, and she's babysitting the homeowner's baby. Rosie takes the baby and hides in the ensuite bathroom and locks the door. The two men violently try to open the door. Rosie screamed out that she had phoned the police, and it worked as the two men ran out of the property. The police reviewed all footage but never found the two men responsible. The true motives are unknown, but it is very chilling that they cut the phones. What was that last part? Felt the need to okay. But like, and trying to break into a room where they heard a baby crying. Exactly. Like, why are you trying to? I don't understand people's mindsets at all, bro. Like, why? This shit's fucked up. I heard this shit and I've like done like research on this shit and it's so fucked up, dude. This is like one of the reasons why women have like the concept of no is basically non-existent, because it's like you say no, you die. But then if you say okay, then you may die. You know? Like it's almost like a lose-lose situation. Like if a man asks you out, if you say no or even yes, you still have the equal chance of being killed. Because men can't take no. Like they're always like, their fucking ego can't take it or some shit. Because like what happened with her was really fucked up. Like she denied. I think. Okay, let me actually let the video play and then I'll talk about it afterwards.
On November 25th in 1988, 17-year-old Junko Furuta was biking home from a waitressing shift in Tokyo when 18-year-old Nobuharu Minato kicked her off her bike out of the blue and ran away. A 16-year-old named Hiroshi Miyano came to her aid and offered to walk her home. Little did she know this was a trap. Hiroshi ended up attacking Junko.
I'm pretty sure. Okay, so she didn't include the reasoning why they're doing this, but I'm pretty sure. I'm positive. I actually watched many videos on this before, but I'm pretty sure one of the boys that are doing this to her right now asked her out, and she or like asked something, and she denied, and she said no, and then it angered them, and this is why they're doing that. And that's why they're doing this.
Before calling that first guy, Minato, back, and then two other friends came who persuaded him to keep her in captivity. Here is when those 44 days of brutality would begin, and a trigger warning here. Things are really about to get graphic. They held her in an empty house belonging to Nobuharu's parents, and there the boys would regularly gang rape her, torture her, and beat her. And not just the four of them. The teens invited other men back to the house with the express purpose of assaulting her. According to their own statements, they would force Junko to smoke and consume large amounts of alcohol. Then they would do things like douse her in lighter fluid and burn her, sodomize her, and starve her. She became so malnourished that she couldn't walk, and her burns and cuts were so infected that she became confined to the floor. Her poor little face was mangled to the point where you couldn't discern her features anymore. And while she was still alive, her body reportedly started to rot. On the 44th day, he was in a foul mood because he lost a board game, and he took it out on Junko. He doused her in lighter fluid and ignited it, and this is not the worst part. Over the next 2 hours, the boys excessively beat her. They made her drink her own urine. She was having convulsions. They repeatedly dropped an iron exercise ball on top of her until she succumbed to her injuries. They then wrapped Junko's mutilated body in blankets, shoved it in a travel bag, and then put that inside of a 55-gallon drum, which they then filled with concrete. They also threw in a videotape of the last episode of her favorite show because she said she had never gotten to watch it and they didn't want her to haunt them. The boys got caught, and after
Huh? Okay. You don't want the person that you just fucking did all that shit to haunt you, but you did all that shit to them. Make it make sense. That logic is not logicking. Bro.
Hiroshi only got 20 years in jail.
Huh?
Two of the others, a minimum of 5. And the last guy, just 8 years in juvie.
What? See, oh my fucking, okay. What is this? Ooh! Where the fuck did it even come from? Jesus Christ. No. Anyways.
If I could have chosen a
Jesus.
different path now, I would have.
What got Isabella Guzman into the state hospital was not normal. She killed her mother, stabbed her 79 times.
I'm not mentally ill anymore. I'm not a danger to myself or others.
TikTok has a funny way of bringing up old relics from the past and turning them into memes, whether that be songs from the 2000s or the revival of Twilight. This is kind of what happened with the case of Isabella Guzman, an 18-year-old girl who was found guilty of murdering her mom all the way back in 2013. Videos of her during her trial started to get popular on TikTok when users would duet the videos and make fun of the way she acted during her trial, which was really weird. But behind these weird videos was a real-life murder that was so brutal, it kind of shocked me to see people actually making light of it on social media. Today, we're going to explore the case of Isabel Guzman and how her behavior made her TikTok famous years later. Isabella grew up in Aurora, Colorado, and lived with her mom and stepdad. Her parents got divorced when she was a kid, but they were still civil after they separated, even buying a photography studio together when they did portraits. Yun-Mi Hoi, Isabella's mother, would sometimes work 12 hours a day to make ends meet, and many people saw her as a really hardworking lady. Despite this, Isabella was never grateful for anything her mom did or how hard she worked to support her. Those that knew the family knew Isabella was always kind of troubled and had a very mischievous side to her. She hated school, and even though her grades weren't bad, they were nothing to write home about. She ended up dropping out when she turned 18, just a few weeks before her final exams. Her parents were disappointed to say the least when she did this, especially when she was so close to graduation. All those years of her suffering through school were literally wasted. Isabella's behavior only got worse when her mom remarried to a man called Ryan Hoy. Isabella resented her mom for replacing her dad, and her behavior towards her mom became so awful that she was sent to live with her dad, Robert Guzman. She ended up moving back in with her mom and Ryan, but they continued to have a bad relationship. In the weeks leading up to the murder, Isabella's disrespect towards her mom got really bad until one day, everything exploded. During a bad fight, Isabella yelled and spit in her mom's face. Ryan told police that his wife was terrified of Isabella after this fight, and matters were only made worse when the next day, Yun-Mi showed him an email Isabella sent her during the night, which said, "You will pay." With everything Isabella was doing and her escalating violence towards her mom, they made the decision to call the cops. The cops came
As
to
you
check
should.
on the family and spoke to both Isabella and her mom. They warned Isabella that now she was 18, her mom and stepdad could legally kick her out of the house and make her homeless, which would be a good reason for her to fix her behavior. Isabella didn't have much to say to the cops, and after they left, she went up to her room and stayed there all night. You may be thinking that this girl sounds like a total nightmare to have in your house, and I agree. Living with Isabella and her behavior sounds exhausting, but according to Isabella, there was more to the story. Yun-Mi and Ryan were both Jehovah's Witnesses, a branch of Christianity that's really strict and doesn't celebrate any holidays, including Christmas or birthdays. Isabella claims that she was abused by her parents when she was a kid, and this is why she was so disrespectful towards them. She also claims that the abuse got way worse after she decided she didn't want to be a Jehovah's Witness anymore when she was 14 years old. Even though Yun-Mi and Ryan were definitely Jehovah's Witnesses, no one has been able to say whether or not they did abuse Isabella as a child. After police left, Yun-Mi decided to go to work for the rest of the day and put some space between her and Isabella. Ryan stayed at home with his stepdaughter, who didn't come out of her room again until around 8:30 that evening. Yun-Mi came home from work at 9:30 p.m. and told her husband she was going to take a shower. When she went upstairs, Ryan stayed in the living room watching TV and eating the McDonald's she brought home for him. Only a few minutes later, Ryan heard thumping and banging coming from the upstairs bathroom and Yun-Mi calling out for him. When he went to investigate, he saw Isabella in the bathroom with her mom before she slammed the door in his face. Ryan tried as hard as he could to get into the bathroom, but Isabella locked the door. He knew straight away that his wife was in danger. He ran to get his cell phone and called the cops. When he went back upstairs, a pool of blood was leaking out from under the bathroom door. Yun-Mi had stopped screaming, and he heard her last words, Jehovah, which is their name for God. What happened next sounds like something straight out of a horror movie. Isabella opened the bathroom door. She was holding a knife and covered in blood. She calmly walked past Ryan as if he wasn't even there and left the house. It was clear that Yeonmi was dead when Ryan got into the bathroom, but he still tried to perform CPR until the emergency services arrived. Yeonmi was pronounced dead at the scene, but she'd been stabbed a total of 79 times all over her face and neck. There was also a baseball bat in the bathroom, and it looked like Isabella had beaten her mom with it before or after she stabbed her. By the time the cops and paramedics arrived, Isabella was nowhere to be found, which worried everybody since she'd left the house with the knife she'd just used to murder her mom with. They tried to find her by tracking her cell phone, but this didn't work out since her phone was turned off. Luckily, Isabella was found in a parking garage the next day and arrested after someone saw her there and tipped them off. Isabella was charged with first-degree murder, and because she was 18, she was tried as an adult. This meant she should be given the death penalty. However, this is where things got even wilder. Isabella was found innocent. Well, okay, not totally innocent. During her trial, Isabella was assessed by a doctor who diagnosed her with schizophrenia, a mental illness that can cause people to hallucinate and have delusions. According to the doctor, Isabella didn't believe that it was her mom she was killing, that she was actually a woman called Cecilia, and she had to kill her to save the world. This evidence made it possible for Isabella to plead innocent by reason of insanity, which means she was so mentally unwell when she committed her crime that she didn't know right from wrong. The court accepted her plea, which almost never happens, and she was sent to a psychiatric hospital for proper treatment of her mental illness. Now we need to talk about what happened that turned this 8-year-old case into a viral trend on TikTok. Do you guys remember that song Sweet But Psycho by Ava Max? When that song came out in 2018, it got popular really quickly. Not only was it a super catchy song, but it had lyrics that were, let's say, a little controversial. Ava Max was actually called out on the song for glamorizing mental illness by saying that it's okay to be psycho as long as you're sweet. Well, some users on TikTok took the meaning behind the song and started applying it to Isabella. During her trial, Isabella behaved pretty strangely, which makes sense now that we know she was living with untreated schizophrenia. A lot of the time, she would stare straight at the cameras in the courtroom and make faces where it almost looked like she was having fun at her own trial. People started taking clips of her making faces and gestures and put "sweet but psycho" over the top of it. This really divided TikTok. Some people saw it as harmless and they could totally appreciate Isabella's appearance and at the same time condemn her actions. But a lot more people really didn't like this trend since it seemed like people were trying to overlook what Isabella did just because she's pretty. Not only that, but making fun of her behavior when she was mentally ill added to the stigma around mental illness. A lot of people were called out, especially on Twitter, for making these videos, and eventually the trend died down again. To be honest, I'm glad this trend didn't last long, and looking at the videos some people made, it was really gross. It's not okay to excuse someone's actions just because they're good looking or charming. On the flip side, it's also
But yet that happens a lot. Honestly, it happens a lot. More than it should.
really insensitive to make fun of someone in a mental health crisis. We need to discourage making content like this when it does so much harm to people who are mentally ill. Since she was sent to a psychiatric hospital, not much has been heard from Isabella. That was until November 2020. Isabella did an interview for the first time since she was sentenced and said she feels ready to rejoin society. She claims that she is no longer mentally ill after years of treatment and medication. When asked about the day she took her mom's life, Isabella said that wasn't me. And now that she feels mentally stable, she is no longer a danger to herself or others. That isn't the only reason Isabella wants to leave the hospital. In 2015, it was reported that she was assaulted 3 times by a hospital employee and is now trying to have him arrested and held accountable for abusing her. Right now, there hasn't been an update on whether or not the employee is being prosecuted, and there's no update on whether Isabella will be released anytime soon. This case is definitely a heavy one, guys. But I definitely think it's important to talk about these things, especially when social media is involved. Did you guys ever see any of the TikTok videos about Isabella? What did you think when you saw them? I can't wait to read your thoughts and discussions down in the comments below.
No, it was another jump scare.
And if you stop on the bridge, it's a young couple's car bridge in Oxford.
Ain't about to catch me slipping again. But about that one, I feel like I have a lot of like mixed emotions about that one, because on the other side, like, I get it, but like also it's like she could have been, I mean, actually never mind, because she did get diagnosed by a doctor, so I mean, I don't think it could be like false if it was diagnosed by a doctor, but who knows.
Alabama. Welcome to Hell's Gate Bridge in Oxford, Alabama. Legend has it that in the 1950s, a young couple's car plunged into the water below. And if you stop on the bridge and turn off your lights, one of them will sit in your seat and leave a wet spot. And then if you look over your shoulder at the road behind you, it resembles the fiery gates of hell. But blocked off now, the bridge's legend lives on, and some of the locals swear by their ghostly encounters. Is it true or a mere imagination? And would you dare to find out?
No.
Hell's Gate Bridge awaits.
Nope. No.
And more disturbing details about this case were just released. If you don't know who Ryan Grantham is, he's known for his roles in Liz, Becoming Redwood, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and most recently he was in the show Riverdale. On March 31st, 2020, the 24-year-old fatally shot his mother in the back of the head as she played piano. Apparently Ryan recorded himself beforehand rehearsing the murder, literally acting it out. Hours later he recorded his mother's body and confessed, and this is now being used in court. The next day, Ryan packed his car with several guns, ammo, 12 Molotov cocktails, camping gear, and a map. That map was supposed to lead him to Canada's Prime Minister, whom he planned on killing as well. The trip would have taken 50 hours, but at some point Ryan turned around, and then planned to target his college university or somewhere else like that. Fortunately, Ryan turned himself in to Vancouver police before he could hurt anyone else. Reports stated that in the months leading up to this, he was experiencing the urge to commit violence to others and to himself. He had also stopped attending university and suffered intense clinical depression. It's believed that Ryan took his mother's life because he didn't want her to see him carry out the mass murder plans. The Crown is asking for at least 17 to 18 years before he'll be eligible for parole. And his sister told the court that he is a dangerous person and she fears him getting out of prison.
Alright. So that's the last one we're going to be watching. So I was going to play like a horror game afterwards, but it is a bit late. It's 1 a.m. for me at the moment. So I think I'm going to end it here. I appreciate everyone who gave me a follow, who supported, who talked in the chat. I appreciate all of it, and I'm really glad I decided, because I wasn't going to stream tonight. I'm going to be honest, I was not planning on streaming tonight, but I'm glad I decided to, because it honestly ended up well. I'm really glad I did. But, yeah, if you have any, like, video suggestions you want me to watch for the next week's horror stream on Sunday, then you can leave it under the hashtag. I'll type it in the chat, but it's hashtag Zeke Scary Videos on Twitter. And yeah, so I'm really happy about tonight's stream. Yes, I was scared, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too scary. It was just a little scary. The beginning part was, but the ending was kind of like, oh, interesting, but like also fucked up, because all the people that were murdered and all the people's like stories and shit. And rest in peace to everyone who has passed away and who has died horribly, and I feel for them. Yeah, so thank you for the follows, and thank you for everyone who's watched, and I will see. You probably cannot hear the fucking background. Excuse me, Christ. But yeah, I'll see y'all in tomorrow's stream, I think, if I'm streaming tomorrow. I'll have the stream schedule up on my Twitter, pinned, tomorrow morning. I'm gonna make it tonight, but I'm gonna post it tomorrow morning. But yeah, thank you again, and I'll see you in the next one.